Hello everybody, this is Steve UK. A really nice user on freefortalk.com with the username of Ojii-san asked if I could read a science fiction story for a change. As I haven't done one for quite a while now, here is one. Enjoy. Please click the like icon, click subscribe, and click the notification bells so you don't miss out on any new stories. Thanks. Short Story 118, Luna Lost. Aiko clutched the worn leather journal, its pages filled with her grandfather's faded handwriting. It was her only connection to him, a renowned astronomer who had vanished 10 years ago while on a mission to a newly discovered moon orbiting a distant gas giant. Officially, the mission was deemed a failure, the crew lost in space. Aiko, however, refused to believe it. Every night she climbed to the rooftop of her small apartment building, the city lights twinkling beneath a sky choked with smog. Pointing her grandfather's old telescope at the silver of a moon visible through the pollution, she whispered, "I'll find you, Ojii-san." One evening, as Aiko scanned the sky, a faint, rhythmic single flickered across the telescope lens. It wasn't a natural pattern. It was a coded message. Her heart hammered. This was it. This was a sign from her grandfather. Determined, Aiko spent weeks deciphering the complex code. It contained coordinates, a location far beyond anything charted. But it was a beacon of hope, a starting point. Aiko knew what she had to do. She sold everything she owned, except the journal and telescope. With the money, she managed to buy passage on a rickety freighter bound for the edge of explored space. The journey was long and arduous, filled with cramped quarters, questionable food, and a crew of jaded spacefarers. One gruff but kind-hearted mechanic, Kai, took pity on Aiko. He listened to her story, his weathered face etched with surprise. "Lost moon, huh? Sounds crazy, kid. But your determination, it reminds me of someone I knew." Aiko's eyes widened. "Who?" Kai smiled sadly. "My old captain. He chased shadows too. A long time ago. He offered to teach Aiko the basics of piloting a small spacecraft, a skill that might come in handy on her quest." Finally, after months of travel, the freighter reached the designated coordinates, a swirling vortex of dust and gas surrounding a massive gas giant. It was a terrifying sight, but Aiko felt a surge of excitement. Her grandfather was out there, somewhere. With a heavy heart, Aiko thanked Kai and said goodbye. She boarded a tiny, beat-up spaceship she had managed to buy on the black market. It wasn't much, but it was hers. Taking a deep breath, she steered the ship into the swirling nebula. The journey through the gas cloud was a nightmare. Sensors flickered, alarms blared, and the ship shuddered violently as it buffeted through the cosmic storms. Aiko gripped the controls, her knuckles white, her stomach churning. But she held on, fueled by the image of her grandfather's kind face on the last page of his journal. Then a glimmer of light pierced the swirling glass. A small moon, its surface rough and cratered, hung suspended in the void. It was the lost moon. Aiko's heart pounded with a mixture of fear and elation. Could this be it? Had she finally found her grandfather? She landed the ship on a flat, rocky plain, dust billowing around her. The silence after the storm was deafening. Cautiously, Aiko ventured out, the journal clutched tightly in her hand. She scanned the desolate landscape, searching for any sign of life. The air was thin and dry, the ground littered with strange metallic rocks. It felt like another world entirely. Suddenly a flicker of movement caught her eye. A lone figure, hunched over, stood in the shadow of a giant rock formation. As Aiko approached, the figure slowly turned, revealing a familiar face. etched with lines of worry and exhaustion. "Oh, Ojii-san!" Aiko choked out, tears welling in her eyes. The figure straightened, a tired smile spreading across his weathered face. "Aiko! But how?" Aiko rushed forward, throwing her arms around him. Tears streamed down her face as they held each other tightly. He was alive. He was real. When they finally pulled away, Aiko's grandfather explained what had happened. Their mission had been sabotaged. The crew barely managed to escape to the moon, their ship in ruins. They had been trapped here ever since, sending out coded messages into the void, hoping someone would hear. Aiko's arrival was a miracle. Relief washed over her grandfather, quickly replaced by concern. "It's too dangerous here, Aiko. You shouldn't have come." Aiko shook her head, determination glinting in her eyes. "I had to. You didn't give up on your mission, and I wouldn't give up on you." Together they explored the wreckage of their ship. Using scavenged parts and Aiko's newfound piloting skills, they managed to cobble together a makeshift transmitter. After weeks of painstaking work, they sent out a powerful distress signal, hoping it would reach a passing ship. Days turned into weeks filled with a tense silence. Despair threatened to engulf them, but Aiko refused to give up. She helped her grandfather study the strange rocks scattered around the moon, hoping to find a way to use them as fuel for their escape craft. One morning, as they toiled under the relentless sun, a blip appeared on their makeshift radar. A ship! Their hearts leapt with joy. Could it be a rescue team? As the ship emerged from the dust cloud, their hopes sank. It was a small, heavily armed vessel, its hull emblazoned with a skull and crossed swords, a notorious pirate insignia. Aiko and her grandfather exchanged a worried glance. Pirates wouldn't be here for a rescue. More likely they were drawn by the distress signal, seeking salvage or worse. The pirate ship held them, their gruff voices crackling through the communicator. "Identify yourselves. This is Captain Bloodbeard. Prepare to be boarded." Aiko's grandfather took charge, his voice surprisingly steady despite the fear etched on his face. "This is Dr. Hiro Tanaka. We are stranded researchers. We have nothing of value to offer." A tense silence followed. Then, to their surprise, Captain Bloodbeard chuckled. "Stranded researchers, huh? Interesting. Fine, send a representative. We'll have a look-see." Aiko and her grandfather knew they couldn't resist. With a heavy heart, Aiko volunteered to go. Donning the spacesuit they had managed to repair, she entered the docking bay of their makeshift craft and pressurized it. The pirate ship loomed large as she activated the docking clamps. Taking a deep breath, Aiko stepped across the docking bridge. Her stomach churned as she was greeted by a hulking pirate with a cybernetic eye and a cruel smile. He ushered her into the ship's dimly lit bridge, where Captain Bloodbeard, a man with a thick beard as red as his name suggested, sat behind a cluttered console. "So, you're Tanaka's granddaughter," Bloodbeard rumbled, his voice laced with amusement. "What brings you to this neck of the woods?" Aiko explained her situation, her voice firm despite her fear. "We're just trying to get home. Please let us go." Bloodbeard stroked his beard thoughtfully. "Getting home, eh? That can be arranged, for a price." Aiko frowned. "What kind of price?" Bloodbeard's eyes gleamed. "Those strange rocks you mentioned, we've encountered them before. Valuable stuff, apparently. Hand them over and I might consider letting you live." Aiko's mind raced. Those rocks were their only hope of fixing their transmitter and sending a real distress signal. "We can't give them to you. They're our only chance of escape." Bloodbeard slammed his fist on the console. "Don't test your luck, girl. This ain't a negotiation." Suddenly a loud alarm blared on the bridge. A smaller ship with the insignia of the Galactic Rescue Agency appeared on the main screen, closing in fast. Bloodbeard cursed. "Looks like we have company. Change of plans. We're getting out of here." The pirate ship lurched as Bloodbeard threw it into a wild escape maneuver. Aiko, thrown off balance, stumbled. Bloodbeard grabbed her arm, his grip like a vice. "You're coming with us," he snarled. But before he could drag her away, the bridge door burst open. It was Kai, the mechanic from the freighter, leading a team of heavily armed rescue officers. Kai had kept tabs on Aiko's distress signal and alerted the authorities. The pilots were quickly subdued. In the ensuing chaos, Aiko and her grandfather managed to escape from the bridge and rejoin Kai. With the pirates restrained, the rescue team boarded their ship and repaired their transmitter. Finally, after a harrowing ordeal, Aiko and her grandfather were on their way home. They had faced pirates, navigated treacherous space, and ultimately found each other again. As they watched their home planet grow larger on the view screen, a sense of relief and wonder filled their hearts. Aiko, forever changed by her adventure, knew she wasn't just returning home, she was returning as a hero, a testament to the power of courage and determination. And as she held her grandfather's hand, she knew their adventure wasn't over. The mysteries of the lost moon still beckoned, waiting to be unraveled. Vocabulary notes. Sentence. Aiko clutched the worn leather journal, its pages filled with her grandfather's faded writing. Clutched. Verb. Held onto something tightly, often because you are scared or worried. Worn. Adjective. Showing signs of use or damage over time. Faded. Adjective. Lost its brightness or colour. Sentence. The journey was long and arduous, filled with cramped quarters, questionable food, and a crew of jaded spacefarers. Arduous. Adjective. Difficult and tiring. Cramped. Adjective. Small and uncomfortable with not enough space. Questionable. Adjective. Of uncertain quality, possibly bad. Jaded. Adjective. Bored and unenthusiastic because of having had too much experience of something. Sentence. It was a terrifying sight, but Aiko felt a surge of excitement. Terrifying. Adjective. Extremely frightening. Surge. Noun. A sudden strong increase in something. Sentence. The air was thin and dry. The ground littered with strange metallic rocks. Thin. Adjective. Not having much air or moisture. Littered. Verb. Covered with something scattered in an untidy way. Metallic. Adjective. Made of metal. Sentence. Despair threatened to engulf them, but Aiko refused to give up. Despair. Noun. A feeling of hopelessness and sadness. Engulf. Verb. To surround and cover something completely. Refused. Verb. Did not agree to do something. Sentence. The pirate ship held them, their gruff voices crackling through the communicator. Hailed. Verb. Contacted someone by radio or another communication system. Gruff. Adjective. Unfriendly and harsh in the way you speak. Crackling. Adjective. Making a series of sharp, snapping sounds. Sentence. Aiko explained their situation, her voice firm despite her fear. Firm. Adjective. Strong and confident. Despite. Preposition. In spite of. Sentence. Bloodbeard stroked his beard thoughtfully. Stroked. Verb. Moved his hand gently over something, like hair or a beard. Thoughtfully. Adverb. In a way that shows careful consideration. Sentence. Aiko and her grandfather knew they couldn't resist. Resist. Verb. To try to stop something from happening. Sentence. With a heavy heart, Aiko volunteered to go. Heavy. Adjective. sad and depressing. Sentence, a sense of relief and wonder filled their hearts. Relief, noun, the feeling of being happy because something bad has not happened or has stopped. Wonder, noun, a feeling of amazement and admiration. Sentence, Aiko, forever changed by her adventure, knew she wasn't just returning home. Forever, adverb, for all time. Story written by Google Bard AI. Image created by Bing Designer AI. Hello, this is Steve. If you enjoyed the story, please would you click on the like icon and take the time to leave a meaningful comment. If you want to know when the next story has been uploaded, please click on the notify bell icon to be notified. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tell your English learning friends so they can benefit too. Thank you.